All right, Mark. So welcome to my YouTube channel. Welcome to episode 2 of A1 Agents. I'm super grateful for your time and I'm excited to have you, man.
Glad I made season 1, episode 2, season 1. So I'm glad I made it. Thank you.
So thank you for your time, because I know you're super valuable. As my listeners are going to get to know a little bit about you today, they're going to also realize that your time is super valuable. And I'm excited for this opportunity to give them value, but to also kind of help you. Maybe people will find you and seek you, and maybe it might result in, employees that are, local to you or whatever, because you're taking this insurance industry by storm. But I'll start by saying that Mark is one of the top agents in the industry. He's grown to 21 million in premium in only 12 years. Holy cow. And if I'm not mistaken, half of that, and you can correct me, half of that's come just in the last few years, right? Which is mind blowing.
Yeah. We were, I would say 3 years ago, I was about 9.5.
Okay.
Give or take millions. We've almost doubled in the last 3 years, give or take.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's unbelievable. You're scaling like crazy, but as you probably know, it takes so much foundational work to get there, which we'll get into.
Sure.
So I do want to acknowledge you for your energy. I want to acknowledge you for your agency culture. I think your agency culture, you're the king of that. It's unmatched. You're a husband, you're a father. You're probably the freshest insurance agent that I know, right? You got fresh kicks.
Appreciate that, brother. I try.
You dress a lot fresher than me. So thank you for being on my YouTube channel.
I'm excited, man. Thanks for having me, man. Looking forward to it. Really enjoy watching all the videos, and thanks for having me, man.
Cool. So Mark, tell my audience about your story.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, did not get into this to do what I'm currently doing. Just full disclosure. I'm a third generation agent. My dad was an agent. My grandpa's agent. I really don't know much about his story, but my dad's agency I knew very well inside and out. I worked for him for 2 years, and it was the traditional agent insurance model that's been around for 100 years. Agent, 2 people work for him. Kind of model, and that's really what I thought I was going to do. I thought I'd go in, I'd have 1 or 2 employees. I'd be the guy selling and servicing and handling claim. That'd just be what I would do, and I was excited about that. It's a great, that's a great opportunity, and that's what I thought I was getting into. And as that kind of developed, as you will, I realized that it really wasn't what I wanted to do. I became more of an entrepreneur over the years, where I wanted to grow. And if you're going to grow, you have to put people in place. You can't do it all yourself. You can't run your entire business by yourself. So really, the interesting part professionally about my journey is how every time I thought I reached the peak, if you will, like, I'm good. We're good. And I've accepted that it's never going to happen. I'm going to keep wanting to do new things. Because honestly, as I mentioned in the intro, 3 years ago, I thought I was pretty good. 9 million, had a couple of the business ventures going on, and I was good, and that's kind of spiraled differently. So I've gone from 1 employee. We're currently up to 19, I think 19, I'm sorry, 19 employees. Used to be 1 employee in 1 office. I have a young lady that starts with me today that probably could get to your office in Vegas quicker than mine. She lives in Colorado. So the world's changing, and I'm just trying to adapt, and it's incredible journey. So I've really enjoyed it.
Wow. So you've introduced, you just recently bought a new office, yeah, right?
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
And so tell us about I guess what inspired you to, because you were good, right? I mean, your agency, yeah, a $9 million agency is very good, in my opinion. I don't know the percentage, but how many agents in our company are at 9 million?
Probably very small few. I really don't know I don't know if it's a number, but I know once you get to about 10 million and above, it's a pretty small percentage. Honestly, it's just the joy of growth. It's not about, we all like buy nice things for each other. We like nice, but it's really not what's keeping me going. I like growing personally and professionally. And for me, staying status quo is shrinking. It just is immensely, at some point I may slow down. I just don't know when. And plus what's really cool is the more I grow, the more it gives me opportunities to grow people underneath me, give them new challenges, them new opportunities. So, obviously the bigger I am, the more revenue I bring in, but that allows me then to hire more people, and we pay good wages where I work. People make great livings. They can promote up, new manager roles. There's a variety of opportunities that at 9 million, there's only so much money. I can't do it all. And honestly, like, I got to get up excited to do something. At 5 a.m. is early. That's when I get up. I get up at 5. I go to the gym. And if I go home and I'm like done, now what? What are we gonna do? We're gonna, sit around and play Xbox. I mean, I got to do something, and so it was a good opportunity. Everything financially made sense, and it just felt like the right time. I know some people in the industry are not sure if they want to grow or shrink with it. I'm all in. Nothing. I've done a lot of businesses. Nothing does as well as insurance. I mean, it's just an incredible opportunity. So that's just kind of what pushed me to do it.
Yeah. And most of my audience is in insurance. I mean, it ranges
Yeah.
from people just getting licensed to people working for agencies to people getting starting their own agencies, captive and independent. So
Yep.
what, one of my questions for you is, what was the hardest part about scale? I guess it's an ongoing question because it's never ending, but I guess what was the hardest part of this journey for you?
I think the hardest thing is, anybody can go to the bank and get a loan, buy a new book, or invest and buy a bunch of leads and grow. I mean, that's not hard. Money, you can get money and do all those things. What I had a hard part was, as you grow, you are letting go of the reins a little bit because you're not in the day-to-day. I am completely not in the day-to-day anymore. So how do you do that and make sure everything's being done exactly how you want? And that was hard. That took years. A lot of people are, saying they want to get to this big. I'm like, well, it's like building a house. You can have an 8,000 square foot house out in Vegas. It's beautiful. But if they don't pour a good foundation, it's not going to last. And honestly, I was guilty of that. We were just grow. Marketing used to be take a bunch of stuff, throw it against the wall, see what happened, hire. I mean, I just run around chicken my head cut off, I think is the saying. And at a certain point, you can only get so big doing that. If you want to reach the scale that I've reached, I have an operations manager. I mean, she runs the entire business. I have different people in place that do different things for me. I have a very clearly defined culture. And you mentioned the intro, which I appreciate. Very clearly, we have a kickoff meeting every year. And before I talk numbers and goals, I talk culture and I talk the non-negotiables and I talk about what we won't allow. I have let go of producers, really top producers, for attitude and negativity, because you can't fix that. And, to walk someone who's writing 70, 80 items a month, it's hard, but I've made that decision. And it's funny, once that happens, everybody understands, like, this is something he's serious about. And so we don't have negativity. We don't have, because that's kind of things that for me, they don't fly. Once you build the foundation, it's really easy to take off, but that takes a couple years. I spent a lot of time. I read a ton of books because there's so many people that have done this before. I've talked to agents that have succeeded. I've asked them, normally I'm always like, where did you screw up? Where did you mess up? Which is kind of what you said to me in a different way, a little nicer, but where was the problems? And really it's building that foundation.
Yeah. Okay. I got a couple of follow-up questions on that. And it kind of leads me to the next question. How did you cultivate your culture? I mean, did you always have culture? Because you seem kind of like, or I think I resonate more with you on I think you're an energy guy.
Yeah.
And an energy and an attitude guy. And that's why I resonate most with you, but you've done an amazing job. You have so much fun with your team. You've inspired me. I've stolen so many of your ideas, whether you know it or not. But I'm not afraid to give credit, man. I'm just a giant sponge.
Me too.
But how did you create that environment?
I think it's happened over time, but I decided to open up I won't try to get in all state legal, but basically a scratch agency, which basically means no customers. And that was, so it'd be 3 years in April, I believe that to be correct. Time flies, I lose track. And at that time, I had a previous company that I had owned. I had sold that company. And I said, I'm going to just go all in on this. I'm going to invest a substantial amount of money, but I have a unique opportunity now. I get to hire every single person brand new for this venture. So now I sat down, I said, I said, Hannah, who I work with closely, and I talked to her and I wrote, what do I want those people to look like? What do I want them to expect? What's that world going to be? So imagine being in the business, and I'm already 8 years, and I just said, I'm going to start brand spanking new. And that's what I did. I in my mind, I wanted young, and that's not a number, by the way, that's a mentality. I mean, I am the oldest guy in my team, but I don't actually, not anymore. It's not anymore, but I wanted young energy. I wanted positivity. And I wanted people that were driven. I really don't care about your experience. I'm a firm believer that you can coach sales. Some people don't agree with me. I don't, that's fair. I believe that I have the ability with any human being to coach them to be a salesperson, as long as they're driven, they're coachable, and they're hardworking. Those are my 3 characteristics I look for. And honestly, I've got people out there that have very little sales experience that are crushing it because they're driven. You can't coach drive. I mean, you see drive, but you can't coach it. So it was an opportunity for me. And from that, obviously I had some turnover, because when you move everything, people, they're not going to want to join you. I mean, and there were some drastic changes. I mean, but we just create, and again, even you've seen pictures of my office. I mean, I have pictures of, I'm looking right now. I see Biggie, Wolf of Wall Street, Schwarzenegger, Ari, Jay-Z. I mean, this isn't your typical insurance office, and we wanted that. We wanted, because selling insurance every day is hard. It's the hardest job in our company to be our salesperson, for me, I believe, and most of our agents. So let's have fun. Let's play hard, work hard, And once I came up with that, we just started. And again, we still fail with hiring. I still have a high strikeout rate the first 60 days. Now, once they get past that, we're great. But we strike out a lot. It's like speed dating, I haven't dated in 20 plus years, but I imagine that's what it's like.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So people on your team, it's almost like a 60-day kind of high intensity, like to see if they're gonna stick after 60 days.
You just kind of know, and it's you just know. We have the same process. We walk everybody through. We're gonna give you tons of leads day one. I tell people, like, I have a 90-day intro speech. When I hire somebody, it's really hard.
I've stole this before. I've stole this from you. I've heard this before.
Yeah. And I mean, I give it to everybody I bring on board. And the short of it is basically after 90 days, if you're here, it's your fault. If you're not here, it's your fault. Like, I mean, it's a little longer than that, but we don't need to do the whole thing right now. But basically, if you don't have accountability, what do you want me to do about it? And again, I can typically tell pretty quickly if someone's going to make it. I mean, and I've just changed what I look for. I used to have very clear. I mean, I just hired a 20-year-old to my sales team. I got to be honest, 5 years ago, that would have been like, I can't hire someone that young. I just couldn't. Why? He's doing great, and it just, I just hired my first remote employee who's 2.5. That I wouldn't have done that 5 years ago. I wasn't built for that.
Yeah.
And now, I mean, I have 50 states to hire from. That's a nice pool.
I think that's totally, I can't wait until I'm comfortable enough to do that.
My first one. Yeah. We'll see how it goes.
Yeah.
But got to try. I think she'll be great. I really, very hopeful.
Yeah, for sure. Well, so let me ask you, what are some of the things that, I mean, actually, let me ask you this real quick. What are some of your non-negotiables? I think you kind of mentioned a couple of them. What are some of your non-negotiables or standards or philosophies?
Sure. I mean, the biggest thing is, I mean, I've got a list. The biggest thing, they all go back to one thing: accountability. I mean, if you fail, it's your fault. If you succeed, it's your fault. It's a really hard saying for people to hear. Yeah. But if you have that mentality, your whole world changes. Yeah. Positivity. I know everyone's like, every company says, I'm serious about it. Like, yep. Like in my company, our technology fails us a third of the time. Something goes wrong. And like, if I hear one person in that room bitch about it, They know I'm coming at them. They know it's just not, I don't want to hear it. I mean, if the internet goes out, I still expect you to figure out a way to sell items. I don't care. Figure it out. It's a couple of coachability, and we define a couple of different ways. But the biggest thing we want to talk, I'm coachable. I'm reading books every day. I'm trying to find people to improve me. And if my name's on the door, you can get improved as well. Those are just a few of them. I got a list, but the biggest ones that I'll harp on, you got to be those things. And good teammate. One thing we talk about is be a good teammate, meaning, we define it in a bunch of ways. Well, everyone's been the new salesperson in the room. If I'm busy right now, and if that new salesperson needs a question with a quoting system, I expect it, and we celebrate that. When that first deal happens and somebody helps, we cheer them both on, because my team knows every time I hire more salespeople, I will buy more leads. The pie gets bigger. I'm not taking any of your pieces of your pie. And they've seen that. So they know, like, hey, there's a new guy here, but he's not a threat. Mark's just going to put more pie, if you will. So, yeah.
Okay. I love that, man. I love the accountability part, and I wrote that down. If you have technology issues 1/3 of the time, I don't want to hear your excuses. It's so easy. It's so easy to blame uncontrollable things, and
I don't control technology. I don't control price. I don't control anything. I really control very little in this world. So I just adapt.
It's all about being resourceful, right? Okay. What are some of the things? I mean, because I kind of want to answer this question. Let me ask you this. As far as culture, since I think you're the king at culture. You said you have a kickoff meeting at the beginning of the year. Any other meetings? Obviously, Christmas dinners.
Sure. We do. So we'll do that. I try every 6 weeks to just have a cocktail hour. We don't talk work. And again, I've got 2 kids. So is it every 6 weeks? No. Sometimes it's 8. And I tell everybody, hey, my kids soccer, like right now, I have soccer practice Monday, Wednesday, Thursday. I mean, it's busy. It's awesome. Not complaining. So probably won't happen till middle of October. I do a summer party at my home, invite them all in, cater it out, real fancy taco bar, only the best, gotta love it, and we try to say, like, this weekend, we're heading out to your town in Vegas to CWC. I don't know but at the time of recording this, I'm taking 4 staff to that. Thursday night, we're going to a pretty incredible steakhouse. I hope so. I know my bill will be incredible. And I just try to do things like that. We do coaching, we talk, we just invest. A lot of things aren't planned. Like my one sales guy got married, and everybody in the sales team, including myself and my manager, were invited to the wedding. And we were all there. It's a little different than most, the boss, and I was there, and I was happy to be there. And it's beautiful Mexican wedding, and I did a couple of tequila shots. We had a great time. So yeah, it's good.
That's awesome. Now, I guess somebody that's just starting out and they don't, or maybe even if somebody that's existing, if whatever they have going on currently, that is their culture, right?
Yeah.
Whatever they currently do, that is their culture. But what tips do you have for people that are just starting out, that don't have a culture, or people that never quite seemed to create a great environment at their office?
I'd focus on 2 things.
I think in the insurance industry, agents are so just older, and
yeah, kind of. It's a new generation coming up, I mean, I think don't worry about having this big, long list of things that I have, like 7. It doesn't matter. 2 things matter: accountability and positivity. Really, if you have those 2 things, everything else kind of falls into place. Normally, in my experience, when I see staff or whatever, or people that don't have that, it's normally the agent's fault. It's normally he or she is the one in the room that's leading the charge. Something's not going right. They're the one complaining about it. A couple things to remember, there are things that make me mad and I want to bitch about, but that's why I have a beautiful wife at home. Maybe we have a cocktail and I just say, I got to have 5 minutes just to complain to you in private. I'm not going to put it on Facebook. We all have those moments. We're all human.
Yeah.
but leave it. Then when I get up in the morning, I forgot about it and I moved on. I also think your routine matters. So you do whatever you want. But for me, I have to get up early. If I have to work out. I have to have a plan when I work out. I have to listen to something positive. Now, maybe it's a podcast to make me better. Maybe it's a gambling podcast. I like betting on football and it's fun. Just something to get my mind in a good mood, Those are things I have to do to get. So, I always say if you have to be working at 8:30 and you get up at 7:30, that's a tough way to attack your day. You're already running late and I tell my team that get up early, do something, read something positive. But my advice is to owners, check yourself. If your team doesn't have it, my guess, look in a mirror, my guess it's you. And by the way, I've been that guy. I've been the bitch in the office guy. I mean, I was not an ideal agent the first 5 years to work for. I was the old, whip to get them going. But you realize that's not going to work. Yeah. So I'd be the one bitching about technology not working or losing my mind. You just can't control things. Once you change that mindset, it's amazing what happens.
Okay. I like that, man. Check your energy, make sure that you're in a good state, make sure that you're, because you can't, one of the things that I have my team do in our morning huddles is a morning moment of gratitude. And so, and if they don't say it in a tone that communicates that they're grateful, I have them say it again. Say that over again. You don't sound grateful. Like say that again, right?
Amazing what happens when you start doing stuff like that. Writing down what you're grateful for in a note. I've done all those things just to get the mind right. Do I do that every day? No, I wish I did, but it's something I've done in the past, or if you're in a mood, remember what matters.
Yeah. Okay. Now, how often are you meeting with your team? I mean, I know that the things have probably changed, but how often are you doing one-on-one coaching sessions? How often are you doing sales training? What does that look like?
Sure. So right now, either myself or my op manager, like she's handling this week. I'm leaving Wednesday to go to Vegas. I got a busy week. So she's going to knock them out this week. I did them last week. We do at least a 20-30-minute coaching session on 2 different calls we've heard. We basically ask them to send us their best call. And then we find a call that's under 15 minutes. Because a good sales call is 25 minutes, at least. If you're on a sales call for 12 minutes, you did not do something right. So, and then I have a person that works for my company that actually grades the calls, delivers them to me, concise and done. And then I sit down with them and go over it. That is every week on purpose. We normally have one, maybe team meeting once a week, just to talk about goals, where we're at, some new things. And then a lot of just check-ins. And those aren't scheduled. Those are just check-ins, and that could be, it's every day of something, I talk about the sales floor, not like we're like 10,000 square feet. We're not, but walk the room, talk to the people, what's going on, where your head's at, and just check in. So couple on purpose and a couple as the day flows correctly.
Okay. But and what about annual reviews? Do you do annual reviews or semi-annual reviews, things like that?
I find them completely a waste of time. If you've got to every year tell an employee what they're doing great and what they need to do better, what the hell are you doing the other 364 days? I don't give you a pay raise because you've been here a long time. We don't pay on tenure, we pay on performance. I've had people say, my year's up. I'm like, yeah, thank you. Like, well, I get a review. I'm like, no, we've been reviewing all year long. Like, here's the 8 things you do great and the 2 we want you to get better at. I don't believe in them. I think there's something that some middle management came up with 25 years ago and we've all taken over. So what, I can give you a $3 an hour raise. I mean, we don't pay people like that, but I'm a big fan of just once a month, me and Hannah will sit down with each one. I told you we'll do the weekly and do a bigger review, but I can't wait a year for you to work on something. Like, that's a waste of 364 days.
Yeah. Now, as far as, and this is just maybe a question that I have for you is, do you do you pay, do you give increase? So you say you give increases for performance,
Yeah.
right? So just consistency. Someone's been there for a year, they've been crushing it very consistently for a whole year. That deserves a pay increase then.
Yeah, on the sales side, it's typically a salary move or additional vacation. I mean, the commissions are tiered based, so whatever you sell, you sell.
That's what you're
But typically it's stuff like that. We'll bump the salary up, little more, give them a little, better leads. Sometimes we have a little, like if I do a bunch of mailers, only my top people get them because those are the best leads for us. Little things like that. But a lot of it's not money. It's just a lot, a lot of us, and I'm guilty of this too. We think that our people want money, and sometimes it's time, sometimes it's recognition. It's amazing. I do a monthly sales contest, and last year you can get, oh, sorry, my screen got shorter there. Love technology when it works. Blow me up there. Can you see me still okay?
Yeah, you're good.
Okay, yeah, shrunk here. Let me blow it up. Oh, there we go. I thought everyone last year kind of wanted like, money or whatever. And I realized real quick that what they wanted was the experiences. So last year I used to do $500 cash, a watch, or a suit. And now I've completely twisted it where it's an experience. You want to go ball game, a concert, whatever you want to do, let me know. A watch or kicks or a sport coat. So, and nobody wanted the money. Not a single person wanted the money, which is interesting. I wouldn't have thought that, to be honest. So,
And this is for top performers on a monthly basis?
yeah, so we do a championship belt. You've seen that, of course, but for your people that haven't, we do a championship belt. And yeah, it's top performance every month. And we used to do much more of we do a lot more based around money. And really, it's not money. They want the experiences and things like that. It's crazy. It never occurred to me. Things you learn.
Okay. Here's another question. The team that you've developed, so your leadership team, this is a selfish question because, I'm trying to scale. How did you know that somebody was ready for those particular positions, right? As you scale, was it that they just found things and just decided to do them without you asking, or was that, how did that whole thing work out? How did you find your structure?
The easiest answer is when people do the job that they want before they get paid to do it. So when they start acting like a leader, they start helping other people, they start doing the job before you even mention it to them, then you got the right person. It's super simple. I understand that, but it applies. If you see someone take an active leadership role that they're not getting paid for, everyone's always focused on what they get paid for. When you got someone who's doing it just because they want to improve the company, that's when you got a special person.
Love it. Okay, here's a question for you.
Yep.
When you are hiring people, you know what? I just had the question, but then I kind of lost it. Squirrel. When you are hiring people, or what has been, I guess, how do you hire people? Are you kind of always hiring, or
100%?
Okay.
Yeah.
What's your hiring process like?
It's changed throughout time. So I would say we basically hire strictly off referrals, or we use a company that we outsource with, which I'll give them a plug. I don't mind that. They don't pay me anything, but we use Team Hire. I use them basically because, again, I realize that my time is much more valuable than my money. And that was, I appreciate I'm in a new position in life. That wasn't always the case. But for Team Hire, they just give me people in front of me. But how we go through it is a little different, where really they interview with Hannah, and she does the whole tell me about time you sold, all the questions, and really drills down on, can this person sell? And if she does, I coach completely on culture. I want to see if they're coachable. I want to see if they're driven. I want to see if they're accountable. I kind of want to see if they really want it. And then we bring them on board, we get them licensed, we do all that. And then my goal is to get them on the floor as soon as possible. Because I've seen a lot of great salespeople pick up that phone. The first thing they do is they lower their voice like this. If you couldn't hear me, I just said they lowered their voice like this. And they get scared. And sometimes that's never fixable.
Yeah.
So because again, selling face to face is a completely different situation.
Absolutely. So the good question that I had, it came back to me while you were talking.
Perfect.
All right. So I think that the longer we're in this industry and the more successful of an agency that we can create, the more attractive our opportunity to come work for us or with us becomes. What's your advice for the people starting out? You know, that it's hard for them to find those people, and it's harder to talk people into coming to work with you when you're a brand new agent, or you
Sure.
know, when you're so small and you can barely afford, you know, barely afford
Yep.
them. What's your advice to those people? Kind of like, I guess, going back to when you started.
Well, I guess the mistake I hear a lot of new agents, make is they're like, oh, I need a manager. And I'm like, you have 3 people. You don't need a manager. You need to be selling. You need to be the best salesperson. It's your business. I used to be the #1 salesperson in the office. I mean, I can sell, and you need to drive revenue every way possible, because you need to grow. So you have the ability to one day need a manager, because you're right. I spend money on marketing that I never dreamed of years ago, but I used to spend like $2,000 a month in marketing and still do 220 items a month. I mean, and that's not a lot of marketing. And that's all I had. I had no money. We were broke for many years, my wife and I. You own the business, invest everything in your company. You know, don't worry about material things. Like I really didn't. I put everything I had in it. I was all in, because either I was going to go bankrupt or I was going to succeed. Either way, I was going to, either I was going to be great or start over. So I think that's the key. Don't worry about things that don't matter. Just work. You need to focus every time about how to sell more business, because retention matters and all that. Yes, it does. But sales is what's going to change your paycheck. And you need to change your paycheck so you can start hiring more people, you start growing, hit bonuses and scale. So that's my advice. Grow as quick as you can. Focus on your spend in marketing. Make sure you maximize every dollar. And don't be scared of spending money, because our rates aren't good. That's crap. That's an excuse. You got it.
Yeah.
I don't care what state you're in. You can make it work and grow and just work your butt off. This is not a 40-hour job.
Yeah.
Keep that in mind.
I agree with that. You said something that is very, very important. And I saw a lot of agents fail firsthand, which was they prematurely started living the lifestyle. They
Yeah.
stopped treating it like a business. I was in a hub location where there was 4 other agents, and the girl that failed the quickest, and I ended up buying her $70,000 book, was for a very good price. She was out at 5:30 every single day. She
Yep.
hired an HR manager, and from the get-go. I'm like, why do you have an HR manager when you don't even have an employee yet? Right. And
I
it was
see it
just
all the
weird.
time. I see it all the time. I see it. It's constant. I mean, I have a manager now. I didn't have one until I was 7 years in. And honestly, I only had one then because she approached me and started acting like it. And it wasn't like I was like, I need a man. No, we're not a 200-person operation here.
Mm-hmm. I love that. And yeah, and then just obviously keeping your finances lean, you know,
Yep.
for a very long time until your business allows you to really live that lifestyle. Okay.
Yep.
Last 2 questions, and then we'll gear towards the end here. I love asking, the work-life balance part. You're in a situation that I'm not in yet, and you have kids.
Sure.
How was that, I guess? How are you navigating those territories early on, and how is that now? The
I don't.
work-life balance situation.
Yeah. I actually hate the term work-life balance, and let me explain why. I know that's not a nice thing to say, but like if you're doing something you love, you should be able to talk about it when you get home. Like not bitch about it, but talk about your day, talk whatever. I mean, there's things you need to do. Like I don't have my work email on my phone. So if I'm at home hanging with my son, I don't get an email. I don't check it. I try to make sure my wife and I once a week go on a date, or even if we don't go anywhere, we sit in the back, have a cocktail and just put the phones away, do things like that. But probably if we're out there, I'm probably talking to her about a new cool thing I'm trying at work, because I want her to know about what I'm doing. I mean, so I'm very present where I am, but I'm also comfortable. And, my wife knows every success and failure I've had. And she's a cheerleader the entire time for me, and celebrating it. But you just gotta, and for us, it's vacations. As we try to go places. That's really our thing, because my kids are busy too. My son's got soccer practice 3 days a week. My daughter's got that and gymnastics. They have homework. It's not like I'm coming home and they're like, hey, we got nothing to do. They
Yeah.
have their own lives that are busy. Plus, my son now's in 6th grade and his homework's incredible. And he has to go to bed at 8:30 every night. So it's like we're racing to get him done by 8:30. I mean, it's so you just figure it out. My wife and I have a very honest relationship, and just talk about it. I've been guilty of, too much work, not enough, but I don't think I am that way anymore. I think I've done a much better job. And she checks me. You got to have a partner that checks you. If I'm not, she'll check me.
Does she let me ask you, I guess, is she involved in your business, or does she have her own things going on?
She's not involved. So she's a licensed speech therapist. She did that for the first couple of years I was open. I joke, like, you ever hear like the whole, like, oh, he or she helped me get through med school because they were working. That was her. Like the first 2 years I was open, I made no money at Allstate, and she paid our bills, which I'm very thankful for, because I had no money. Whatever, I actually had negative money because I was just growing. And then she came home when our son was born. Did that. Now a couple of years ago, my wife and I say she runs it. We actually have a non-for-profit locally that helps feed children in our different school districts around us. So that's pretty much her full-time job. And she runs that 100%, just like I run my agency 100%. I know some couples co-manage their businesses. I've always believed there's a captain of every ship. She's the captain of that one, and I'm the captain, and that's just how it works for us.
Okay, awesome. What's the nonprofit?
NWI, No Child Hungry. So she feeds about 150, 200 kids every weekend.
Wow.
Basically, yeah, she grew up in I guess they call it she grew up in a situation where food wasn't always as available. So in her and I, there's a lot of charities, a lot of great ones. I just don't understand why kids in this great country are ever hungry. It doesn't make sense to me. So, we're going to help locally. And I always think that's the best thing to do. If you want to make a difference, just go local. Don't worry about the national stuff. Just fix local.
Yeah. Well, that's a great cause, man. And I commend you guys for that.
Thank you.
All right. Last question before I let you go, because you've dropped, honestly, so many bombs already. And I will ask you this. So just kind of a question that I kind of constructed, and let's just say hypothetically, okay? Hypothetically, you're at the end of your, business run, right?
Sure.
With your insurance agency life and really just business life. And hypothetically, one of your children are going to take over the business, right? But, there's no blueprint left. There's no video interview like this. They can't YouTube you, right? They can't find none of your work, but you can write down 3 pieces of advice to give them while they take and run with your business. Hypothetically, it's not saying that they will be the 4th generation, right? But hypothetically, right? What are those 3 things?
It's a good question. You have to put some time on that one. I guess, they're nothing sexy. Treat people the right way. I used to be a lot stricter boss because I was young and dumb, and I've grown. Treat people the right way. Always give back. It's amazing how many things throughout my career that I've done to help without anything coming back. And yet 6 months later, something comes my way to make my life better. It's funny how the world works that way. And that's personally, professionally, and just, your word is everything. These are more life lessons, whatever business you're in. But, I think those are the things that I try to make sure. If I tell you I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it. If somebody asks for my help, I'm always going to help. And you know, those are the things that kind of I think about now that really have changed it. They're nothing sexy. They're nothing really that, what's funny, those are the same words that applied 80 years ago. They don't change. And so that's probably what I tell them. And then whatever they decide to do, if there's no more insurance agents in 100 years, then they're going to be very successful at it.
No matter what they do.
Exactly.
I love that. Well, Mark, we've reached the end here.
All right.
I want to acknowledge you for just who you are, right? You've been an inspiration for me. It's so funny. There's so many people on my channel that, you know, that think that I've done some great things, but there are people I look up to.
Yeah, brother, you've crushed it, man.
And you're one of them, man. So I just want to acknowledge you for just being so open and willing. I mean, when I first met you, you gave me your cell phone number and you know, and I can call you, you know, whenever, you know, to pick your brain. So I just really appreciate who you are as a person.
Thank you, man.
And I'm excited for you to get over here in Vegas and have an awesome event at CWC.
I can't wait. I get there Wednesday bright and early. I see it's hundreds and sunny, and I'm in. I'll sit by the pool and I just soak it all in, and then we'll start learning at night. So I'm pumped.
Yeah. So Mark, if any of my audience wants to find you on Facebook, or, you know, I don't know if you want to put that information out there. If any of them want
I mean, I don't do, you're crushing the YouTube game. You'll teach me one day. I bet you find me on Facebook. You can search my name, Mark Mercer. I'm not private. I don't have anything to hide. It's normally going to be pictures of my vacations, my disappointing bears, and some work knowledge. That's about all you're going to find.
And his boat.
So yeah, that's the best place to find me. And you know, whatever links are out there. Absolutely.
Cool, man. Well, Mark, I appreciate you, brother. Thank you so much for being on the channel. If you guys got some value, go ahead and follow him on or find him on Facebook. Destroy the like button, leave some comments, and comment maybe your biggest takeaway. So thank you so much, brother. And till next time.
All right, man. Have a good day.